Hello and welcome to the session. So here we will see the remaining locators, which is basically CSS. Now CSS XPath, some part is similar and some part is little bit different. So let's get started. So what is CSS? It is a combination of an element selector and a value which identifies the web element within a web page. It is a string representation of HTML tag attributes, ID and classes. Now let us deep dive into it. So I have this sample website here, okay, some normal website. And now if I want to find this particular element, okay, which is this search text box or the search button. So what I can do, or I can go with absolute XPath, which is always not advisable. I can go with relative XPath, or I can go with something called as CSS. So how do I go with CSS is something like this. So driver dot find element by dot CSS and the tag name equal to tag name in square bracket attribute name equal to attribute value. Now this is slightly similar to XPath only, but little different. So this is using CSS. Now once again, so you have any tag name and the corresponding attribute name and attribute value. So let us just search this one on the this website. Okay, I'm just putting here paste. Right, so now if you see there's only one element found and this is the element. So you can find the element with CSS also, XPath also. Okay, another thing is tag hash ID plus attribute, that is the search text box. So now if it happened to be that whatever element you are searching using CSS also has an ID attribute. Okay, SE also has an ID. So if you see here, the same element has an ID and the value is search hyphen toggle. Okay, so if there are multiple elements with found with something like this, then you can refine it by using this one. So an element which is having this tag, this ID attribute value, and this attribute and this value. Okay, some other attribute and its value. So using that also you can find the element. So this will help you to uh, reduce, I mean, this will be less error prone when you are finding the element. So I just pasted it here. So again, the same element is found, but now there is a refinement here. Okay. So there is this uh, tag name, the ID attribute value is a refinement. Okay. What about, so if you happen to be that now your particular HTML for that element has tag name and class name. So if you see the tag name, so tag name hash ID attribute value, that is for ID, and if it is having the class name, so class name you go with dot, and here you go with hash. So uh, the tag name dot class name. Okay, tag name dot class name, uh, yeah, class name, and again the normal attribute and its value. So let us just see whether it is found or not. Okay, so there is one element which is found. Which is this element? So it is basically this upper section of all the elements. Okay, so which is good. Now we are finding the elements. So one element is found. Okay, so attribute, I mean the tag name dot class name, tag name dot class name as mentioned here, and uh, attribute and attribute value. Okay, so you can find the element. Now there's something called as a substring matcher. So substring matching is basically, um, we have this multiple switches here. So pipe, the cap symbol is for starts with, star is contains. Now what is this substring matcher? So if you have any, let's say this is your tag name, this is your tag name, this is your attribute name, and the attribute has multiple classes. Okay, so now when you say this cap that is starts with, that means what it will do is it will find this combination plus the class name starts with. Okay, starts with. So you have this cap here, cap symbol. That means the uh, the attribute name attribute here, class called as class, and its value starts with menu hyphen item, and the rest of the things can be anything or something like a wild character. So that is the starts with. Star is for contains. So instead of starts with, if you use the star, that means anywhere it contains this particular attribute value, then it is a matching, or that is the element which can be processed further. Okay, so substring matches. Now again, there is something called as substring match, that is uh, this dollar symbol which is ends with. So have starts with, we have contains, and we have ends with. So now this ends with, you have to put it here. So tag name, attribute name, dollar equal to, and whatever text that will be contained at as an ends with. Okay, so multiple combinations are possible. Now why this is flaky? Because if you see, there is a number here. Okay, and probably this will come with a practice, that how do you understand the web pages and HTML. Now what happens is, if you load that particular web page here, okay, stanford.edu, it may be the case that every time if you load, this particular number will change. Okay, it might be added for some security reason, or randomization. So this will change. So what we should do is, we should avoid using this hard coded or a number, something which is going to change anyway. Okay, so we should not use this, so this will fail actually. Now what is this parent to child? So let's say you want to find a child element of a particular parent element. So you have to use this symbol called as greater than. So what will happen? Attribute name, class name equal to this, and once this is found, okay, this will be considered as a parent element, and slash a, that means parent to child. Okay, so the this particular parent tag name can have multiple sub tag names. So out of that, it will go to the sub tag name with tag name as a. Okay, let's just see. Let us find it out, what are the things which are possible. Okay, so I go here, I clear this section, this one, and I paste this thing. Right. So now this is one thing, the top bar, Stanford University, that is matching. Okay. So, and one element is matching. So that is correct. That is what is intended. Okay. So that's how you go from a parent element to a child element. Okay, and of course driver dot quit. So let me just quickly run it. So once the program runs, and this will break, I think here the flaky part is there. So that will prove that we are correct, that we should not use a CSS or HTML which is flaky, which will fail some or the other time. It may fail, so we should not use it. Right, so program finished with code 0, so that means it has taken it, the number, which is good. But it may not be the case always, that the same number, maybe you may get or you may not get. So that is why I said it's a flaky. Okay, so it has found parent to child, substring, called something called as, sometimes called as pattern matching, and other attributes, other ways to find the element using CSS. So now CSS and XPath are also very widely used in industry, and normally it's your project guidelines or your stakeholders you need to inform, or your manager you need to inform, that you are following some particular pattern. Okay, so it is easy for maintainability and for everybody to understand, so that don't miss out on any basic elements which are changed or anything. So CSS and XPath is used in this context. There can be interview questions that which one is faster. So typically, if you say finding the elements using XPath or CSS, both are almost the same. If you are doing this finding element, let's say 1000 times or 2000 times, then you might see the difference. If you want to find element using XPath for 1000 times, and if you want to find the element by CSS again 1000 times, that is where the difference. Okay, and which is I don't think it will be required also in automation, because you typically may not need to use more than 10 times in any kind of a project. So 1000 is way ahead. So that is how. So okay. So yeah. All right. So now let us see the next part, that is operation on the web element in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.